Happy Friday, y'all. Hope all is well. Here we are on 9/11. I'm in the weeds. 2020. A lot of remembrances going on today, as they should be. But I'm out here in the weeds. I mean, in the weeds, as far as I can see around. I'm here to make a point, something I learned this morning. Always watching for those little lessons, and more often than not, I guess I miss them. I learned one pretty good this morning about complacency and letting the weeds grow up. They're over my head, but thank goodness there's landmarks. If I didn't know where I was at, I'd have trouble getting out. But that old pine tree stands as a beacon to tell me where home is. I probably couldn't get out of it without it, but in the event that it wasn't, I'd know where to go. This was manicured just a couple of months ago. Now it's past what a riding lawnmower can handle, and we'll have to wait for fall to get it back down to where we can manage it again. Weeds, distractions, hate, things that without a little tending can overtake us. A lot of times the weeds themselves isn't the threat, but they can disguise one, as they did this morning. This little mama has probably taken down her and Bo, I think 3 coyotes on their former home place over time. But this morning it wasn't that way. I was in the driveway, had a cup of coffee, and I looked out here in the pasture, and she was outside right by the truck. Sissy was. And I'll show you. There's a chicken coop. There's the house. And in broad daylight, stood a coyote right here. The chickens were going at it, and I'm in the truck, and I'm looking at it. And he was planning his breakfast, I guess, because they were all out here just like this. I kept waiting for Sissy to alert. She didn't see him. He made his attack and missed, thank goodness. So I ran out this way to see what was going on, and stood by the old water tank that holds the rainwater we harvest from the roof. And she was in tow. She thought we were playing. So I'm standing here and looking dead-eye at this coyote not 25 feet away from me. We're just having a stare down. And Sissy's right there. No slight on her. She's probably still way ahead of most of us, but nights and a few days in the house had grown her a little bit complacent, and she wasn't on guard. Tried to get her softly to go get that coyote, and she never saw it till it sauntered off into the wood line. And I don't know if dogs have expressions. I think they do. But when she started sniffing and realizing what she had just missed, she laid right here and just barked into the air, because she knew that she had not done her job in being vigilant. Didn't lose any chickens over it, and we're in the middle of preparations. He'll be back. Her comfort zone is going to have to be shaken just a little bit. Still well cared for, but she's going to have to go back to what she was hired to do, I guess. Complacency. I think that's where we're at as a nation, aren't we? Those of a certain age that remember that dreadful day that we reflect back on today, take joy in knowing what happened tomorrow. There weren't any protests. Our law enforcement heroes were revered, and the country took on a different feel, because we were all one people. But we've let the weeds grow up pretty high. Been through some pretty comfortable years as a nation. Lost almost 3,000 people, innocents, that day. But we've lost dozens of thousands more of troops defending that egregious act and repelling it. Don't hear much about terrorism on our soil now. I think we all feared the worst. I was talking to my daughter this morning as we finalized preparations for a flight to her wedding coming up in October, and I didn't mention it to her, but she was just a tot at that point. We were headed to Jasper, Texas to check on we're headed to, living in Jasper, headed to Trinity, checking on a renting house we had at that time when all of this happened. But most of y'all remember there were months before we ever heard or saw a plane go by, and here we were this morning booking a pretty substantially discounted flight to go to South Carolina. You couldn't have bought a flight for 10 grand on 9/12. What you didn't have to buy was love and unity. We didn't see the political differences quite so much. The turkeys weren't gobbling. Everybody was one. I heard a little anecdote about a couple of old boys, good friends, traveling in the desert. Hot, dry, they were hiking. Got a little turned around and got to arguing, and one of them slapped the other one pretty hard in their argument. The old boy that got slapped wrote in the sand with a stick, "My good friend slapped me today." They continued their journey at odds a little bit until they found an oasis where they both drank their fill. But the old boy that had gotten slapped got stuck in the mire, quicksand, and was about at the end of his rope when his friend that had slapped him pulled him out and saved his life. He found a stone and engraved in a rock, "Today my best friend saved my life." His buddy that had slapped him and subsequently saved his life said, "I got to ask you something. Back when I slapped you in our argument, you wrote that in sand." He said, "But today, when I pulled you out of the quicksand, you wrote it in a rock." He said, "That's how we should live our life. Those that commit trespasses against us, we let the winds of forgiveness wash those things away in the sand. And when someone does something good for you and makes a difference in your life, you etch that in stone. And that's how it ought to be. Complacency is where we're at. How quickly we've forgotten what it was like to be united. There wasn't any protests on 9/12. There were still problems, but we had a little different approach to them, didn't we? I didn't have turkeys. These old things have dwindled by the drove, I guess. We started off with 30, and I think we're down to about 10 or 11. Just different situations, but whole point was to end up with about this many. If it worked out, it did. Got some gobblers and we got some hens, so we'll probably be butchering a few of them here in a couple of months, but this is my breeding stock, so the whole point is to let them start having babies and eggs in the spring. One thing I did get tickled about, those goats are primary prey for a coyote. They're behind a good fence, but anytime I'm out here, they are just hollering, always hungry, want attention, and that's okay. But this morning, as I'm trying to walk Sissy and get her to pick up the scent, they were all attuned and watching me through that fence, but not one of them said a word. They had nothing to say because there was a threat on the place, and they did not want Mr. Coyote to know where they were at. They were watching him, and old E.W., bless his heart, he's done grown some pretty big horns, and that old yoke would have gotten that pen. I'm messing with his girls. I'm afraid there would have been a dead coyote. Sissy would have finally come around with hearing all that hollering, but it just really struck me with complacency and how we might need to do a little better job at pulling together, not stroking things with such a broad brush. It's not how we live. We live in our own little small worlds, and that's where we can make an impact. Well, they know I'm talking about them. Here they come. Hoping a couple of them are bred, Reese and JoJo. Those of you that had goats, old DW's got a little odor to him, a little goat buck odor. And I may walk out here one afternoon and have some little baby goat kids on the ground. We'll see. And let me show them to y'all. There's something else. How about it, JoJo? They're starting to get their winter coat, and it's a little curly. These are Nigerian dwarfs. I think DW's horns have doubled in the last 3 or 4 months. They have a friendly rivalry with Sissy. She spooks them, but they'll get along just fine when they're out and about. What are you doing? You gonna do better tonight, huh? That old coyote nearly got your ladies, didn't she? Yes, she did. She got used to the AC, y'all. Yeah, she deserves it, but you're gonna have to work for your supper now, girl. We got some threats on the place. What I need to do is get them weeds down, don't I? So you can see a little better. Yeah. There's threats that lurk in those weeds that we let grow up. Sure is. Don't take but one to take us out, doesn't it? Let's work together, y'all. We can do it where we're at. Old motivational speaker was talking to a group of about 300 people. Right in the middle of his seminar, he stopped and had somebody bring out balloons. They distributed them through the crowd. Everybody had their little name badges on. He said, all right, y'all, passing the marker around, put your name on this balloon. So they did. They gathered all the balloons up, put them in a different room, and there were balloons everywhere. So he sent them into that room, and he said, all right, you've got 5 minutes to find the balloon with your name on it. Utter chaos erupted. Everybody was looking for their own balloon. Couldn't find it. He stopped the madness finally. He said, all right, let's do this. Grab one balloon, look at the name on it, and find that person. Within a few minutes, the balloons were in the hands of the rightful owners that the names belonged to. Kind of shows you what happiness is about, isn't it? Just stop trying to chase it so hard and being selfish. Maybe you should try to find somebody else's, help them get theirs, and yours will come right on. Right? She's not sleeping in the AC tonight, y'all, just saying. She don't even know it yet, but that's all right. It's all right. We'll do a quick roll call and call it an evening as we head into this weekend. Let's just think a little bit more about 9/12. Remember 9/11, but live 9/12. That's how I say it. We can do that, can't we? Oh, T-shirt update. It was delayed. I didn't get them out the week I said I was, but we are barreling towards shipping out here pretty quick. So thanks for the orders. I'm looking forward to seeing that first one. I guess I need to wear the first one, don't I? They're coming soon. All right, let me rattle off everybody on here, and we'll call it an evening. Let's see. There's Dorothy Dean down Groveton Way. Watch out for ticks. Yeah, that's true. They say that if you got a bunch of chickens on the place, you won't have ticks, but I don't know if them chickens can keep up with those weeds. We'll see. Allen, Texas checking in. There's Aggie. Roy saying howdy. Over my head in weeds. That's right. Aren't we all, though? There's Angela. Brenda Lee Johnston from Statesville, North Carolina. Hope to move back to East Texas by the first of the year. Save her a seat. We'll have to do that. There's Miss Misty. I think she's in Alabama or Texarkana, somewhere like that. Good friend. She did catch me live. Jan Laird. Poor baby. Yeah. I didn't yell at her, but I was not happy this morning. I will say that. Well, thanks for the compliment on the yard. It needs mowed. Got those East Texas rain flags. Some people call them Bahia grass. They don't take but about a day after mowing for them to pop back up, but they'll make it look rough real quick. Maybe the camera's doing me a little favor. Let's see here. There's Tracy Smith. That's right. Aggie, there we go. There's Mandy. Andrew from Interlochen, Florida. Place is looking great. Turkey's getting closer to Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, baby goats should be on the way, Miss Allie. There's Mark Lowry and Lyle from Canton, right up the road there. Let's see. Angie's down in Mission, Texas. Appreciate you joining us here on the Chronicles, if you will. Miss Della Rose from Conroe. Well, thank y'all for checking it off, and made another week, didn't we? Yeah, we did. God's good, and we're all blessed in our own way. Got 6 little old twisters down there in that East Atlantic. It's going to be an active season, it looks like. But we'll make it right on. We'll be thinking about those already suffering down in Louisiana. I think midweek one of them is getting pretty hectic. Going to be hitting those folks again, but we'll make it right on, won't we? All right, Sissy, say good night, okay? All right. Y'all have a good evening. Be the light. Hey, easy.